Hi all, here I am walking through a little bit of a past project just to give you a sense of how I'm going to critique or look at the one that you're going to give. Now the thing is I'm going to show you this. I crossed out some of the things, but the wording and things like that, just make sure that you're being original. I mean, you can look at some of the ideas that are shared in here, but again, these aren't quite complete. I have comments off to the side here in this project. Up top here is a really nice graph. The only thing that I would say I'm missing some kind of scale. I have no idea what scale that graph is. This is, by the way, that's a nice picture of GeoGebra, just a snapshot like I was describing to you guys in class, and scale and units. Those are things that are missing in this particular project. So if a student gave me some kind of output for like the slope in the time period 2002 to 2005 had a rate of, what I was missing was dollars, per year. That's something that when you do a rate, this is the unit that goes with rates in this particular project. So that's something that I mentioned to the student in addition to what's on the sheet that you see here. So the positive rate shows that the median prices were increasing during this time period. That's not the only way. This student chose a particular way to show that was increasing during that time period. Yours can be different. It's just be clear about your calculation and use units appropriately. Then on my comment onto the side here, that's linked that you see on the right, what are the units of this type of change? So you just talked about it. Help clarify what you found that was so it's accurate. The idea is units and any clarity you can have. You gotta, there's that old saying, teach me like I'm a kindergartner. Basically you're going to describe this because professionally, when you walk into a business situation, if you do a project or a report, nobody's quite caught up with where you are and on the same page as you are. And so practicing clarity and use of units and not assuming anybody understands anything is one, really good professionally. Two, if you ever go into teaching, you never, if you want to be effective, you don't assume the students know things. You want to double check and find out, because you'll find out that we're not all on the same page when you might think we might be. And so part D here, by the way, B has just got the derivatives in there, and that is all it's asked for, so it's nothing fancy. But D says 2003 because the value of the first derivative is at 2003 is this. Now, that's the person's justification. I'm not even going to mention whether 2003 is the year it's going up the fastest or increasing or decreasing or whatever is going on there. That might be a suggestion to give you an idea to double check. Does remember, that's the slope of the tangent line, steepness at that moment. Maybe that's what you found. Or maybe you just looked at all the derivatives and compared them. Maybe you just looked at how things were changing in the graph or looked at the picture up top. Use just good units. Be clear on what you describe. And that's it. And then part E here, it says find the greatest rate of increase in part D. This is the one that some of these is like compare all these. One of the things I wanted to ask of this student for this part D was, where does the second derivative they found play into this? Sorry, in part E is, if you're going to talk about how do your answers in B, C, and D all relate, this is not a bad response in here. I put a comment. You'll notice down here in the lower right, my comment says, how is that slope in 2003 greater than the slope you found from 2000 to 2005? Compare the results you see in 2003 versus that change from 2000 to 2005. So C and D are asking for two different measures, or the place where it's fastest growing or a place where it's growing for a period of years. I mean, how do those compare? They're the same, but how are they different? Are they done the same way? Do you measure them the same way? Or anything that you can use to clarify your justification of what's similar between those. And then how's the second derivative play into this? Second derivative, you took a second derivative in B. So it might be a good time to insert something about, well, I took some second derivatives and here's what it says about what's going on in 2003 or between 2000 and 2005. Use that as an opportunity to try that calculation. Remember, when we have a second derivative in class, we talked about that second derivative. If it's positive, things are headed in the positive direction. That means you're going to see things getting steeper. If you see negative, that means things are getting less steep, headed in the negative direction. You can be going uphill, things are looking good, but if your second derivative says negative, that means it's tapering off. If you're going downhill, things are looking bad in the market, but you see a second derivative that's positive. Hey, that means things are on the upswing. They're looking up. It's kind of forecasting. If it's positive second derivative, things are looking up. They're going to be getting better. Negative second derivative with home prices means they're going to start tapering off, either getting worse or getting less good. potentially. So let that speak to some of your answers. And then finally in F, it's a little research to say, hey, what happened in and around that time? What do you know about it? Project into other times as well. Just do a little quick search and try and correlate some actual interesting facts that go with it. And when we get to class, we'll have a chance to interact in and around your results. See you soon. Oh, by the way, it is posted on Blackboard, so you can submit it up there, and I'll send an email as well that goes with that. Thanks.